How do you think why Russia is so frantically trying to destroy the Ukraine? Let's figure it out from historical point of view. You've probably heard that Russians and Ukrainians are somehow one people divided by some mysterious force. The mystery of this rumor is that it is completely wrong. It is a fantasy of Russian Empire in an attempt to justify its gluttonous appetites. Just like this fantasized portrait of Peter the Great that was made long after this person died, while his life portrait looks like this. Less pompous, right? So, let's make a brief look at this historical conundrum. Let's use inclusive approach to the theme. What's the simplest way to discover nationality of people that have lived on the land throughout the centuries? Simply by the names of rivers, villages, towns. In Russia, there are thousands of place names which indicates their Finno-Ugric origin. The word Moscow itself, which translates from the Moksha tribe language like muddy water. Then Virey, Volgusha, Nodol, Bakhra, Shukhroma, Yakhroma in Moscow region, Penza, Ryazan, Vologda, Tver, Sura, Tikhvin, and many others, all of them clearly indicate that that territory was inhabited by Finno-Ugric people for a long time. And it's not a thing worth to hide. Finland, Estonia are wonderful developed countries. Nice company. So what's the problem for Russia to assert the real brotherhood with people they share one ancestors with? Maybe Russians got used to this, rather mythological than historical belief? Or it's a comfortable banner under which the conquering of Ukraine can be named reuniting, which would have sounded much better on the pages of historical books. Or just because Ukraine is the real descendant of Kievan Rus. Oh, I've just blabbed the biggest secret of Russia. Yes, in 18th century, Russia, whose real historical name was Muscovy, has stolen the ancient name of Ukraine, Rus. But those days, too many people in the world knew whom Rus is applying to. So it was decided to smooth the robbery with taking Greek pronunciation of the name Russia. Yes, since ancient times, Rus was the name applied only to central Ukraine, the territory of modern Kiev, Zhytomyr, Chernihiv regions and parts of Sumy, Cherkasy, Vinnytsia and Poltava regions. That is the lands of Slavic tribes: Polans, Drevlians, Severians, Uliches, Tiverians, Volhynians. Later on, Kievan Rus expanded territory on the lands of other Slavic tribes: Dragovics, Radomiches, Kriviches, Ilmen Slavs. Remember about Ilmen Slavs, we'll get to them soon. Apart from the lands of Slavs, exactly on the lands of nowadays Russia, there lived ancestors of Russians. Meshera, Muroma, Meria, Vespians, the people of Finno-Ugric family. So, even nowadays, after hundreds of years of Muscovy's war and conquering, Slavic people are mostly at the place they were, on the territory of the Slavic countries: modern Ukraine, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Bulgaria, Belarusia, and, a part of modern territory of Russia. Remember I've told you about Ilmen Slavs? A lot of modern Russians claim their right to be Slavic because Novgorod, the ancient medieval Slavic town, became the part of Muscovy in 1478. It is true. After war, of course. Well, it's Russians. But in 1569, Novgorod was destroyed by Muscovy and its residents were brutally murdered. Even kids and women didn't escape their fate. Only a small part of Slavs survived and were deported to central Muscovy. The Slavic blood was perished from their land. So, is it relevant to call predator a deer because he has eaten one? No, I don't think so. And at last, Russian language. It was obliged to demonstrate the ties which should stick Muscovy to Slavic world. And it is Slavic. It is based on Church Slavonic language, which is in fact medieval Bulgarian. And this Church Slavonic language was lingua franca and literary language for Slavic people, just like Latin language was to lots of countries. And when Kievan Rus has been colonizing territories where Finno-Ugric tribes of Erzya, Mishora, Moksha have lived, the emerging of Slavic lingua franca was inevitable. But nowadays, Russian language is partly Slavic. After 18th century language reformation, and especially after 19th century, which brought tons of French and German words to Russian vocabulary. War and Peace, magnum opus of Lev Tolstoy, contains 700 German words and over 15,000 of French words. What's even more interesting, Russian people have their own vernacular language, which still can be heard in songs of Erzya people. Sad to admit, but at this time vernacular language of Russia is slowly fading out because of imperial policy of Russian government, who decided to seize Ukrainian history and through the centuries is trying to annihilate Ukrainians and wipe out the truth about real Rus, Kievan Rus. But this way, Russians only wiping out their own identity, which could have brought the harmony to them, or at least give them some peaceful aim, instead of wishing death to their neighbors who speak different languages. Every language on Earth is beautiful and unique. Be well. Hope you've enjoyed the trip. Click share and subscribe button. All the best.